This is Bob. I'm over here. The Revenue Rangers are having a meeting. Okay, of course, it's not something like the classes that you can take, which they don't tell you about, and only the officer can refer you to these classes. These classes are like $55, and if you pass the class, then they dismiss the ticket. The problem is the officer got to refer you. Now, I had a friend of mine that went to one of these classes, right? And he said the only people that were there was lawyers, judges, nurses, doctors, and teachers, and I think one or two police officers. There was no working class, like Teamsters, Burger King, McDonald's, or anything like that. No low-income people. No, they don't get a break from the Revenue Rangers. The Revenue Rangers want to steal everything they can steal. Portland has that problem, so does Gresham. So, I find it interesting that the police don't want to offer these courses unless you want to bring a lawyer in, and then they might offer you the course, but they might not. And let me explain something to you about the way the court system works here. Okay, one of these guys pull you over and you get a ticket, right? And it's usually extremely high. And since the Supreme Court ruled that there is no penalty in a traffic fine, you're not entitled to a jury trial. So guess what you don't get when you ask? A jury trial. Why should your peers have a right to try you? Why should you have a right to have your peers listen to your case? No, you don't get a jury trial. What you get is you get a big old fat judge that sits up on a stand, and what he does is he listens to you and he listens to a cop. And if the cop sits there and says, I seen him going 75 and a 25, judge is going to find you guilty. Now, he might reduce that fine. I've seen it reduced down to half, even a third of the fine. Depending on your driving record. If you got a good driving record, they'll drop it down to like a third. If you got a real lousy one, you might pay the max. But the sad thing is that they got these classes, and if you pass these classes, they dismiss the ticket. But I'm sorry, if you're low income, on SSI, a cop watcher, working at McDonald's, fuck, you don't have a chance at these traffic classes. You don't have the ability to clean up your driving record. So, anytime you get pulled over in the state of Oregon, you should ask, well, can I take a driving class? Most of the time, they say no, but sometimes they'll say yes. But if you have money, or you have a lot of money, then you get the classes. I seen a Mercedes-Benz pulled over, 1 or 2 years old. The officer goes, well, if you go through the driving class, I'll dismiss the ticket. But I've seen a lot of people that are low-income people. Cop doesn't say anything about the class. He just writes out the ticket and then turns around and hands it to you. They're Revenue Rangers of the rich. The rich get driving classes and the ticket taken off, and the poor get fucked. So that's the way our politics works. You go before a judge that basically rubber stamps anything the cop says. And they call that justice. Yeah, during the 1940s, they had justice like that too. They called it the SS and the Gestapo. A police officer or an SS person, the police officer was the police were the Gestapo, whatever they said was the truth, regardless of fact. And whatever you said was a vicious lie. And that's exactly the way the courts look at it now. You know, they don't look at it that it's a state versus you. It's you're challenging the state, and that the officer is a neutral person. The officer can't be a neutral person because he's a witness against you. He's prosecuting you. So he's not a neutral person. It's an old cliche. It's conflict of interest. And like I said, people aren't entitled to jury trials. If they did, hey, maybe there'd be a little more as far as the fairness goes, instead of just rubber stamping the ticket and that's that. Well, this is Bob with Film the Police signing off.